Hi, Chem Team. You learned today that chemists can predict which atoms tend to bond with each other because elements that tend to gain electrons will bond with opposite elements that tend to lose the exact same number of electrons. So, for example, beryllium and oxygen would bond together because beryllium has 2 valence electrons and oxygen has 6 valence electrons. So oxygen needs 2 electrons to become stable, and beryllium would need to lose 2 electrons to become stable. So during the process of bonding, oxygen would attract these 2 electrons away from beryllium. And afterward, oxygen would have a filled octet of valence electrons. It would have 8 valence electrons, whereas beryllium's old valence shell is now completely empty, and beryllium would have a stable electron configuration. And in this process, beryllium would get a positive 2 charge because it lost 2 negative electrons, and oxygen would gain a negative 2 charge because it gained 2 negative electrons. But it turns out oxygen doesn't need to gain its electrons from the same atom. For instance, oxygen with its 6 out of 8 valence electrons could get 2 electrons from 2 separate lithium atoms, each lithium atom which has 1 valence electron. And so during the process of bonding, oxygen's protons would attract these electrons from lithium. And after bonding, oxygen would have filled up its valence shell, whereas lithium atoms would have emptied out their old valence shells. In both cases, these atoms would have become stable. Now the lithium atoms, which each lost a negative electron, have become positively charged ions, whereas the oxygen atom, which gained the 2 negative electrons, is now a negative 2 ion. And so we'd write the formula for lithium oxide, this lithium oxide molecule, as Li2O, because there's 2 lithium atoms for every 1 oxygen atom. And that's it. At this point, you guys have a couple of practice problems. We'll see you in class tomorrow.